They laughed the moment she walked into the classroom. A substitute teacher. On the first week of senior year. That was basically open season. The students of room 212 smelled weakness before she even said her name. But 60 seconds later, the laughter died. And by the end of class, the same students who tried to break her were asking for forgiveness, because what they didn't know was that this quiet woman in a plain suit had walked through fire before ever setting foot in that room. Her name was Ms. Lillian Carter. She wasn't fresh out of college or desperate for a job. She had been a teacher for over 15 years, until tragedy took her husband, and the grief pushed her into a long, painful break from the world. When she finally returned to teaching, it was as a substitute. Less commitment, less expectation. Just a way to be back in a space she once loved, slowly, carefully. Jefferson High didn't know her story. To them, she was just a temporary fill-in. And to Class 12B, she was the perfect target. The kind of teacher they could mock, ignore, or run out by lunch. The leader of the rebellion was Noah Green. Star athlete, full of charm, with a smirk that teachers either ignored or feared. He didn't like being told what to do, especially not by someone he didn't respect. He saw Ms. Carter as fragile. Replaceable. And he made sure everyone else saw her that way, too. The minute she walked in, he whispered loud enough for the front row to hear, "Did someone's grandma lose her way to bingo night?" Laughter erupted. Ms. Carter didn't flinch. She simply set her bag down and wrote her name on the board. Calm, composed. She started taking attendance, but Noah interrupted again. "You don't have to do that. We're all here. Don't waste your breath." The class chuckled. She looked at him, her eyes quiet but sharp. "I'll take attendance as I see fit, Mr. Green." A few students raised their eyebrows. No one usually called Noah by his last name. He leaned back, unfazed. "Okay, Ms. Whatever." She walked to the center of the room. Her voice was soft. "Let me ask you all something. When was the last time you judged someone before they spoke 10 words?" The room was still. "5 minutes ago," she asked, glancing around. "Just now?" "Maybe every day." Noah rolled his eyes. "What's your point?" Her next move stunned them all. She walked to the whiteboard and erased her name. Then she picked up a marker and wrote a different one, Major Lillian Carter, U.S. Army, retired. She turned to face them. "I've led troops through combat zones. I've comforted children in war-torn villages. I've taught in schools without electricity, where students walk 6 miles just for a lesson. You think this classroom is going to break me?" Silence. "I've seen real fear. Real loss. Real courage. You are not scary. You are teenagers in a country that gives you freedom and opportunity. And yet, your first instinct is to tear down someone you don't know. Why?" No one answered. "Because it's easy," she said, answering herself. "Because it makes you feel powerful for a moment." She looked at Noah. "But power isn't loud. It isn't cruel. Power is knowing who you are when everyone else is trying to define you." Noah's smirk faded. The room shifted. The air felt heavier. "Real." She paused, then gently added, "You can laugh now if you want. I won't stop you. But I promise, you'll remember this moment long after high school ends." Nobody laughed. For the rest of the class, Miss Carter taught like nothing had happened. But everything had. She spoke about literature, history, and choices. She didn't raise her voice once. She didn't have to. By the end of the hour, even Noah stayed behind. He lingered by the door as the others filed out, his confidence cracked just enough to let the truth in. "I'm sorry," he said, barely meeting her eyes. She nodded. "That's a start." The story of what happened in room 212 spread fast. Students in other classes started sitting up straighter. Some even Googled her name. She wasn't famous, but her military record was real. So were the medals. So were the testimonials from schools she'd rebuilt overseas. Teachers started calling her the anchor. Even as a sub, she brought presence. Stability. And something else the school had forgotten it needed, respect. Over the next few weeks, Miss Carter became more than just a substitute. She became a mentor. She started a program for girls who wanted to join the armed forces. She helped troubled students find direction. And those who once mocked her came to her for advice. Noah changed, too. Not overnight. But he started showing up on time. Started listening. Sometimes, that's all it takes, one person to look you in the eye and tell you the truth without flinching. Ms. Carter never returned to full-time teaching. She didn't need to. Her impact didn't come from contracts or titles. It came from walking in truth, speaking with conviction, and holding the room not with fear, but with calm, undeniable strength. She taught them more in 60 seconds than some learned in 4 years. And the lesson stuck. You never know who you're dealing with. You never know what someone's walked through. And the people you try to break may be the ones who've already survived far worse than you can imagine.